everybody, and welcome to Thoughtful Thursday on Saturday. And I didn't do a research paper discussion this Thursday because, I'll be honest, I was a little bit torn, and but I kind of thought, no. At first I thought, wait, this is too it's too complicated. We're not going to keep anyone's attention, and surely we can find something more simple. But I really think it's that important. I'm going to have a bash at really kind of giving the crux of this paper. Number one, I started a new paper. This was published in 2014, and I want to really credit my friend and colleague, Professor Georgia Torres, for this. She shared this with us. We were still working together at the time, and it was something that was super important for her, and and I couldn't agree more. So I'm gonna try and explain this diagram, because essentially what it is, it's a summary of the effect of physical activity on aging and the aging process. And if any pharmaceutical company came up with a medication, a prescription drug, or any kind of drug that provided these kind of benefits, it would be a front page news anywhere in the world, and it would be the most widely prescribed, widely used drug in history. And it's free. It's free to all of us, and it's called physical activity. And I've spoken about this before. I think we've done a really poor job as fitness professionals, as health club people, as healthcare professionals, in making the case for physical activity as not just an aesthetic pursuit or an athletic pursuit, but actually fundamental to our health. Okay, so let's jump in. So I'm going to summarize this paper using this diagram, because it really does summarize everything that I really want to talk about, and it looks extremely busy, and I get that. But if we take something out of this, is essentially what the authors have done is look at and compared aging effects with the counter that physical activity, or being physically active, does to those aging processes. You'll see all the systems that are listed there: brain, cardiovascular function, lung function, muscle function, body composition, and metabolism. And on the far left-hand side, you'll see the effects of aging. So if you start with brain function, for example, aging decreases neurogenesis. That's the creation of new neural pathways. It increases neurodegeneration, and it increases cognitive alterations, or decreases in cognitive function. If you look at what exercise does, well, it's the opposite, isn't it? It increases neurogenesis, it decreases neurodegeneration, and it decreases cognitive alterations or loss of cognitive function. So it's essentially just the complete opposite effects to what aging does. And as we go down, you can have a look at all the different systems. The cardiovascular system is particularly important because of exercise's effect on cardiovascular function. We've known this for a long time. We know that you get fitter and all of that kind of stuff. But when you put it into these kind of breakdown facts, it really comes home to roost a little bit. So aging increases blood pressure. We know that exercise decreases blood pressure. And as you just go down all of those very, very important parts of our cardiovascular system, and the fact that exercise absolutely supports, protects our cardiovascular system, and decreases the negative effects of aging. So, things like vagal tone and heart rate variability, HRV. This is kind of stuff that we work with a lot in our practice, because vagal nerve function is so important in stress control. So stress management, people think it's psychological thing, that stress is psychological, but there's a huge physical component as well. So the fact that when we exercise, it increases our vagal nerve tone and improves our heart rate variability. This is good for stress control, also obviously good for fitness too. So lung function as well, decrease in ventilation as we get older, and exercise just benefits that. If you look at muscle function, this is really interesting because I remember reading, and it's absolutely true. Remember that muscle knows no age. So your muscle does not know that you're in your 80s or your 20s. Doesn't matter. So people say, "Oh, but I'm too old to start exercising." Nonsense. And we know that there's been loads and loads of really, really good research showing that if people start exercising in the 80s, you have this huge improvement. So there's no such thing as being too old to start to exercise or to use weights or whatever the case might be. So if you look at muscle function, muscle strength and power, muscular endurance, quality of muscle, balance, mobility, motor performance and control, flexibility and range of motion, and the arteriovenous difference, all of these things are helped and assisted by exercise. Body composition is a big thing in the world today with the increased levels of obesity and overweight. We know that exercise positively impacts on all of those things like body weight and fat-free mass and muscle mass and regional adiposity, which is really just kind of, and we're referring really there to visceral fat and the deposit of fat around our organs, which is particularly dangerous, and exercise has a huge impact on that. And obviously bone density, as you get older, we see in the clinical on the clinical side, we see loads of older people with hip fractures, etc., just being sedentary, and as soon as they start exercising, their balance improves, they fall less often, and if they do, they don't end up breaking things like they did before. And obviously our metabolism exercise is good. Our resting metabolic rate decreases as we get older, so if we keep eating the same, we're going to put on weight, so an exercise helps there, together with protein synthesis and fat oxidation and all those things. So in summary, for me, this is an absolutely critical paper to understand when it comes to figuring out whether or not physical activity should have a place in our lives if we are not chasing some kind of aesthetic or performance goal. And I hear that a lot. Oh, I don't, I'm too old for that, and I just want to be healthy. Well, if you want to be healthy, there's no real shortcut around being physically active. And so for me, this piece of research was absolutely fundamental to help me understand the game we're playing here, and the critical importance of physical activity in just keeping us well and healthy. The fact that you look good, you're better in your costume for the beach in December, that's great. That's all important, but it pales into insignificance when it comes to our health. So for those who've got through all of this, thank you very much for watching. We appreciate it. If you like this, please hit that like button, please subscribe, and please give us a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. And this is the end of Thoughtful Thursday on Saturdays, and have a great rest of the week. Take care.